For many people, there are days marked as great days. The first day you drove, the first day you kissed someone, the first day you lived on your own. My great day was the first day I went to a bar and wasn't carded. I think I was 34. You see, for most of, all of my life, I have had what's commonly known as baby face. I've always looked younger than I was. Now, I'm a little older than most of you. How old? Let's just say that when I was 18, that was legal drinking age. I have been legally going to bars and legally buying booze and legally drinking that booze for almost half my life before I looked old enough to do any of these things legally. So not getting asked for my ID and therefore not having to stop while looking into the club was a pretty cool thing. Yes, I was already married. Yes, our first child was on the way. But now I was officially an adult, and yep, those are capital letters you're hearing. I enjoyed my adulthood for a few years, and then it got better. I started going a little gray in the temples. Gray hair? Now I'm really a grown-up. However, my wife was not as enthused about this development as I was. In fact, she began to insist I get my hair colored. She didn't tolerate my gray hair on her own head, and she wasn't going to tolerate gray hair on my head. Naturally, I resisted. I had big dreams, big plans. I was achieving cool things in Houston with actual grown-ups, people I still referred to as Mr. and Miss and Mrs. But now I was on the precipice of being a Mr. If I was a Mr., then maybe I had the gravitas to call these leaders of our fair city by their first names, just like they called me. Maybe not, but a guy can dream. So I rebuffed my wife's insistence that I color my hair. Besides, I didn't think I'd ever get much grayer than I was now. My dad didn't have gray hair, and I don't think either of my grandfathers ever went gray. So the likelihood was that I'd have these slightly gray temples, and that would be the end of it. No reason to change, right? No. Unless you believe that old saying that if there's a happy wife, there's a happy life. Guys, I'm here to tell you to believe that with all of your heart because it is an immutable law of physics and humanity. I'd held on the grayness for a few months, going through 5 or 6 haircuts without getting anything done to my hair but shortening it. My barber supported me on that. In fact, all the guys at the barbershop saw things my way. And my barbershop was a man's man kind of barbershop. It's still there in Webster. It's called Carlos's Barbershop, and it's conveniently connected to Carlos's Beer Garden. It's not like Trophy Barbers in Baytown, which is adorned with dozens of antlers. That's a man's man kind of barbershop too, but Carlos's barbershop has them beat. You see, Carlos's is where almost every astronaut gets their haircut. The walls are adorned with more astronaut memorabilia than you can believe, going all the way back to a picture of Alan Shepard's Corvette given to Carlos by Alan Shepard himself. And it's not even a picture of the whole car, it's just the back of the Vette, which sported the coolest personalized license plate in the history of personalized license plates. It read 1ST space UP. That's right. Our very first astronaut in space drove a Corvette with a license plate that said, "First up." I don't care how many deer they shoot over Baytown, you just can't get cooler than "First up." It was in that macho setting that one day I asked Carlos, "Do you have any of that hair paint?" He smiled and said, "Of course he did. Would I like to try it?" And I said that yes, I would, because my wife thinks I have too much gray hair. Everyone laughed. Probably at me, but they all laughed. Carlos went through the process, and when it was over, I looked in the mirror. I could not believe my eyes. There I was, a 40-ish-year-old man, but staring back at me in the mirror was a 25-year-old version of me. It was astounding. I must have had way more gray than I realized, but man, oh man, the difference blew my mind. I told the collective barber shop that my wife was going to go nuts when she saw what I looked like now. To a man, they all said the same thing. She won't notice. She won't notice? How? That's impossible. I'm going to start getting carded again everywhere I go. Probably starting with Carlos's beer garden next door as soon as I pay for my haircut and hair paint. After the laughter subsided, Carlos told me that I was delusional. Sure, I thought I looked a lot younger, but he'd painted enough hair in his life to know that my wife wouldn't notice a thing. I didn't believe that and offered to bet everyone in the barbershop that within 30 seconds of me walking in the door, my wife would faint from excitement. I should have known I was in trouble when every guy immediately took the bet. My wife and her parents were at my in-laws' condo in Galveston, so hoping to win all these bets immediately, I eschewed the traditional post-haircut beer at Carlos's beer garden, and me and my no gray hair having head drove down to meet them. I walked in the door of the condo, and every head turned. And they said hello, and then turned back to what they were doing. Huh. I walked all the way in, hugged my wife, shook my father-in-law's hand, hugged my mother-in-law, and nothing. Huh. Sensing financial trouble thanks to all those bets I'd made, I sat down in a chair to think this over. More thinking was required than normal, so I leaned back in the chair. At that point, the hand of God tipped me over. Yes, I fell backwards all the way down, where my head hitting the floor was about what stopped my topsy-turvy flight. My wife immediately rushed to me and frantically asked if I was okay. I was fine. I landed on a heavily padded and carpeted floor and wasn't hurt in the slightest. But sensing my chance to avoid financial ruin via bad hair paint bets, I pointed a finger to each of my newly colored temples and said that I hurt here and here, but I was okay. Nothing. Huh. I could take this no more. $6 was riding on this. So I stood up and asked everyone in the room if they noticed anything different about me. My wife, who was about 5 feet from me now, looked me up and down from my feet to my head and then asked me, "Is that a new shirt?" Okay, I wasn't going to be financially ruined by losing $6 on bad hair paint bets, but you could hear the anguish and the grief in my voice as I meekly explained that I'd had my hair painted. They all congratulated me, but that didn't change the fact that they hadn't noticed. But I did, and I still do to this very day. Yes, that first hair painting experience was not my last hair painting experience. It was the beginning of regular hair painting. Because even now, more than 20 years later, I still only get gray in and around the temples. But when I get that painted away, once again, I see that 25-year-old baby-faced guy staring back at me. It's true. I'm in love with hair paint.